"Grandma, don't sit there." The words were so quiet, so soft, they should have been lost beneath the music. But they weren't. They landed, sharp, deliberate, impossible to ignore. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. My hand froze mid-air, hovering just inches above the white wooden chair, with my name neatly scripted across the back. Verelda Halvan, 68, front row, centre, exactly where a mother should sit on her son's wedding day. And yet, I didn't. Instead, I looked down. Elric, my 5-year-old grandson, was gripping my fingers with surprising strength. His small hand trembled, but his eyes didn't. They were locked on the chair, not scared in the way children usually are, not confused, just certain. That's what unsettled me. "Why?" I whispered, and leaning closer so no one else would hear. He didn't answer right away. He just lifted his other hand and pointed at the chair. "Now let me ask you something. What would you have done?" Because from where I stood, everything looked perfect. The ceremony was pristine. White roses lined the aisle. The quartet played softly behind us. Guests chatted, smiled, adjusted their outfits. Nothing out of place, nothing broken, nothing wrong, except him. "Please," Elric murmured again, his voice barely steady now. "Don't." I felt it then. Not fear, not yet, but something colder, a hesitation that didn't belong to me. This was my son Caelim's wedding, the moment he'd been building toward for years, and yet, standing there, with dozens of eyes beginning to drift toward us, I found myself stepping back. Just one step. A small decision, almost nothing. I nodded faintly, pretending I'd simply changed my mind, and withdrew my hand from the chair. That's when everything broke. The music cut, instantly, like someone had sliced through it. The soft hum of conversation collapsed into silence. Heads turned, chairs creaked, and then I saw her, the wedding planner, rushing toward us, her face drained of colour, her composure gone. She didn't look at the guests. She didn't look at me. She looked at the chair. "Step away from that chair," she said, her voice tight, controlled, but trembling underneath. "Now tell me, why would a single chair stop an entire wedding?" Because in that moment, standing there, my grandson still clutching my hand, I realized something was very, very wrong. And whatever it was, it had been meant for me. Why would a wedding planner panic over a chair? That was the question pounding in my head as the front row slowly emptied around me. No one said it out loud at first, but you could feel it moving through the guests like a draft under a closed door. Something was wrong. Not embarrassing wrong, not the flowers are late wrong. Something deeper. And the strangest part? Almost everyone seemed to know more than I did. I kept Elric close against my side while the planner motioned sharply for 2 staff members to come forward. They approached the chair carefully, too carefully, not like people fixing decor, like people approaching something that might snap, spill, or expose them. One crouched, the other stood back, glancing toward the aisle, as if making sure no one important was watching. But I was watching, and so was my future daughter-in-law. Seraphine Vale, 31, looked flawless in satin and pearls, not a strand of hair out of place, but her expression, that was different. She was smiling, yes, yet it was the kind of smile people wear when they're holding a door shut from the other side. Tight, controlled, fragile. She walked toward me with graceful urgency. "It's nothing serious," she said, lowering her voice as though soothing a nervous relative. "One of the staff made a set-up mistake. They'll fix it in a moment." A set-up mistake. Then why had the music stopped? Why was the planner pale? Why were the staff whispering? I glanced at the chair again. It looked ordinary. White wood, ivory cushion, a ribbon tied neatly at the back. Reserved for the groom's mother. Reserved for me. But now that I was looking harder, I noticed one odd detail. A faint metallic glint beneath the edge of the seat, visible only when the light shifted. I felt Elric's hand tighten again. "How did you know?" I asked him softly. He didn't look at me. He kept staring at the chair. "I saw the lady move it," he whispered. My breath caught. "What lady?" Before he could answer, the planner suddenly snapped. "Don't touch that until I see it." Her voice cracked across the ceremony space, and every nearby conversation died instantly. One of the staff members had lifted the seat cushion just enough for me to see underneath. There was something there, not broken wood, not a loose screw. Wires, thin, hidden, deliberate. And when the planner saw them, she went completely still and asked the one question that changed everything. "Who approved this chair placement?" Wires. That single word didn't spread loudly, but it spread fast, like a secret no one wanted to say out loud, yet everyone understood. I watched as the staff immediately formed a quiet barrier around the chair, their movements controlled but urgent. The wedding planner straightened, her professionalism snapping back into place, though her hands still trembled slightly. "Everyone, please remain calm," she announced, her voice carrying just enough authority to hold the room together. "We're addressing a technical issue." Technical. That word didn't belong here, not at a wedding. A man in a dark suit, one of the venue's technicians, was ushered forward. He knelt beside the chair, carefully removing the cushion completely this time. No more hiding it, no more pretending. From where I stood, I could see it clearly now. Not random damage. Not wear and tear. Precision. Thin wires threaded along the inner frame. Sections of the wood subtly weakened, cut, not cracked. Reinforced in places that didn't make sense unless the chair was meant to fail. The technician's face hardened as he examined it. "This isn't accidental," he said quietly, but not quietly enough. "This was done intentionally." A ripple moved through the crowd, audible now. Gasps, murmurs. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." My fingers went cold. "What would happen?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. The technician hesitated, just for a second, but it was enough. "When weight is applied," he said, choosing his words carefully, "the structure would collapse inward. The internal supports, they'd drive upward. Upward." I didn't need him to finish. At my age, a fall alone could be dangerous. But this wasn't a fall. This was something designed to injure, severely, maybe worse. And suddenly the air around me felt thinner. I turned slowly, my eyes finding Seraphine again. She wasn't speaking now. She wasn't moving toward me anymore either. She stood near the aisle, her posture rigid, her gaze flickering, not at me but at the chair, over and over again, too focused, too aware. "Elric," I said quietly, kneeling slightly to meet his height. "You said you saw someone move it." He nodded. "Who?" His small hand lifted again, not toward the chair this time, toward her. "She changed your card this morning," he said. The words didn't echo, but they hit harder than anything else so far. This morning, not days ago, not by accident, recently, deliberately, across the space, the wedding planner's voice, cut in again, eye sharper now, stripped of all softness. This chair was reassigned less than an hour ago. A pause, then the final piece dropped. Under direct instruction from the bride. Under direct instruction from the bride. The words didn't just hang in the air, they shifted it. Every conversation stopped. Every movement slowed. And then, almost as one, the room turned toward Seraphine. She stood perfectly still at first, as if refusing to acknowledge what had just been said would somehow undo it. Her posture remained elegant, her chin slightly raised, but the illusion was cracking now. You could see it, in the tightness of her jaw, in the way her fingers curled subtly into her bouquet. Calum was the first to move. He stepped toward her slowly, confusion written plainly across his face. Seraphine, what are they talking about?" His voice wasn't angry, not yet. It was searching, hoping for something simple, something explainable. She smiled again, that same strained, fragile smile. "It's a misunderstanding," she said quickly. "I adjusted the seating, yes, but I didn't. This is ridiculous." But it didn't sound ridiculous anymore. Not with the chair dismantled in front of everyone. Not with wires exposed. Not with the technician standing there. Shaking his head, the wedding planner stepped forward, holding a tablet in her hand. "We log all last-minute changes," she said firmly. "Access to the seating area is restricted. Only one person entered that zone this morning without staff clearance." She turned the screen outward. Seraphine Vale. A murmur surged through the guests, louder now, uncontrolled. People leaned into each other, whispering openly. Some stepped back, as if distance alone could separate them from what was unfolding. Calum's expression shifted. Confusion gave way to something sharper. "You were there?" he asked, his voice dropping. Seraphine's composure faltered, just for a second. "I was checking details," she said. "That's all. Anyone could have—" "Security cameras," the planner interrupted. That did it. Silence again, heavy this time, final. "You were alone," the planner continued. "No vendors, no staff, just you. I watched Seraphine closely. There it was, the moment it broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a subtle collapse inward, like something inside her had finally given way. Her shoulders lowered. Her grip loosened. And when she spoke again, her voice was different. Quieter. Colder. She was always going to be in the way." No one reacted at first, because no one expected her to say it. Not like that, not so plainly. Calum stepped back as if struck. "What does that mean?" Seraphine exhaled slowly, her gaze drifting, not to him, not to me, but somewhere in between, detached. "It was supposed to look like an accident," she said, and in the distance, faint at first, then unmistakable, sirens. The sirens didn't rush in all at once. They built tier, steadily, until there was no ignoring them. By the time the police arrived, the wedding was no longer a wedding. The music stands sat abandoned. Guests had scattered into tight, whispering clusters, and at the centre of it all stood the chair, no longer elegant, no longer symbolic, just evidence. The officers moved with quiet efficiency. Statements were taken, and the chair was photographed, then carefully dismantled further. The technician walked them through every detail, the cut supports, the tension wiring, the deliberate weak points engineered to collapse under a specific weight. There was no confusion anymore. This wasn't sabotage. It wasn't a mistake. It was planned. Seraphine didn't resist when they approached her. She didn't argue. She didn't even look at Calum as they informed her she was being detained on suspicion of attempted aggravated assault with intent to cause fatal harm. Her expression had emptied into something distant, almost detached, as if the outcome no longer concerned her. Calum, however, felt everything. I watched my son stand there, motionless, as the reality closed in around him. His wedding day, gone, replaced with flashing lights, hushed voices, and a truth he hadn't seen coming. When he finally looked at me, there was no confusion left, only shock, and something heavier. "I didn't know," he said quietly. "I know," I answered, and I did. The wedding was officially cancelled before the hour ended. Guests left in silence, carrying the story with them. By evening, it had already begun spreading, through family, through friends, through every quiet channel people use when something unthinkable happens close to home. In the days that followed, everything unravelled cleanly. Investigators traced the materials, purchased weeks earlier, under Seraphine's name. Tools found in her possession matched the modifications. Security footage confirmed her timeline. There were no gaps, no alternative explanations. Calum filed for immediate annulment. He cut all contact. The venue launched an internal review, tightening protocols, though everyone knew the truth. It hadn't been negligence that caused this. It had been intention. And me? A week later, I sat in my living room, the quiet, almost unfamiliar after everything. Elric was on the floor nearby, calmly stacking wooden blocks as if the world hadn't nearly shifted beneath us. I watched him for a long moment before reaching out my hand. He took it without hesitation, no questions, no explanations, just certainty. And this time, I didn't hesitate to listen.